Hi there. Welcome to the Snug Finance Monthly Update. May was another great month for the market, with a continuing the April rally, and I am glad to say my portfolio was no exception, rising 6.07% in May. We have broader positive sentiment following the continuing shaky ceasefire in the Middle East to bumper corporate earnings. My portfolio has enjoyed a broad rally. In this episode, I'll take you through how my portfolio fared in May. We'll also look at any changes in dividends gained, as well as a market roundup covering a few important events in the last month. As always, this is not financial advice. Everything in this video is my opinion. Always do your own research. Portfolio performance. May saw a 6.07% gain, extending the April rally, which saw my portfolio increase by 11.52%. However, due to the weaker quarter one returns, year to date I'm up 11.59%. With this, I'm only marginally ahead of my tracker index, Vanguard's VUSA, which was up 5.88% in May and 11.48% year to date. These figures are based on my total return and data obtained by Just ETF. It is nice to see that I'm slightly ahead on my tracker index, although only by a small amount. In a future video, I'll break down my portfolio, my strategy, and the companies and funds I am invested in. Dividends. One of the best notifications I get in any given month is that the companies or funds I hold have returned capital to me, although at my current stage my dividends are more like pocket change. Nevertheless, it is lovely to see these payments added to my account that I then reinvest myself. It provides a slow drip of motivation. In May, I received 3 payments. First, from ASML, the Dutch maker of lithographic machines, which are crucial in creating semiconductors, paid me £5.25. I hold 2.65 shares, with my position up 115%. When taking into account past dividends, this brings my total return from this company to 117%. Next, the Warhammer creator and one of my favourite companies, Games Workshop, sent me £14.40 for owning 13 shares. I bought the majority of this position in the summer of 2024, and I am currently up 79% or 88% when factoring in dividends. This shows the power dividends can have in increasing your total returns. My last payment was from MasterCard, where my 3 shares paid out £1.89. My position in MasterCard is down by 4.3%, with the company experiencing a stagnant period recently. Despite this, I am looking at adding to my position due to the entrenched nature of the company in the global finance infrastructure. Moving on to portfolio changes, every month I invest a set percentage of my income. As it stands, this is around 25%. Normally, I split my new capital between individual companies and ETFs. However, in May, I only bought into individual companies and even started a new position. Firstly, I bought £250 worth of Uber. I like this company because of its strong network effects, its growing business in rides, delivery, and freight, and the future adoption of autonomous vehicles within its fleet. Next, I then bought £120 of a tin mine being developed in Cornwall, the aptly named Cornish Metals. This company operates the South Crofty tin mine in Redruth. Finally, I invested £100 into a new position, Meta. I have been looking at Meta for a while, for its saturation of the social media space, its wearables, and the potential integration of AI. I will continue to build this position into 2026. For all my positions, I intend to do a breakdown of what I own and why, giving you the chance to see my workings and theses behind every company and ETF I own. In this market roundup, I want to go over a few events from the last month that has had an impact on my portfolio and on the economy more generally. First, we have the continuing will they won't they tug of war between the US and Iran over a peace deal, with multiple reported ceasefire violations. For the market, this has depressed sentiment in Europe and Asia, where they are reliant on oil and other key exports through the Strait of Hormuz. More closer to the UK, there is chatter about a potential leadership bid, which could topple the current Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Any such move could unsteady the bond markets, which further increases borrowing costs in the UK. This has no direct impact on my portfolio as such, but rather an impact on the UK economy as a whole. Of course, this all depends on how the potential challenger, Andy Burnham, does in his by-election in mid-June. Next, Nvidia's earnings in May saw an 85% increase in their revenue and a tripling of their net income. There has been recent talk of an AI bubble, with many companies expending huge amounts of expenditure on AI investments. On one hand, these results are incredible. They show the huge demand for AI and the growth of this sector. However, on the other hand, there's a more general fear that can these returns be sustained going into the future? Moreover, a more broader point about AI investment is its circular nature, with companies like Microsoft and OpenAI actively investing in one another, creating this circular investment cycle. I do think as we go forward that it's the revenues of companies that have actually invested heavily in the AI space, such as Meta, Google, and Amazon. Their revenues will show us actually if this investment is worth it and can generate the returns needed to justify the immense amount of cost. Finally, some interesting IPOs to touch upon that were announced in May, these being SpaceX and Anthropic, the makers of the Claude AI model. SpaceX is looking at a 1.75 trillion valuation, with Anthropic coming under 1 trillion. Personally, I'm going to wait for a few earnings reports to see if these companies actually justify these extremely high valuations, but only time will tell. But of course, despite my caution, as I own several ETFs that track index funds, I may not have much of a choice in that matter. Looking ahead to June, I am going to keep investing every month, regardless of what the market is doing. I'm a long-term investor with decades ahead of me. In terms of the channel, I hope you enjoyed this update for May. I look forward to producing one of these videos every month with roughly the same format. Of course, this should evolve over time. I'm also hoping to produce a video on my investment thesis and one covering all my current positions very soon. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. You can find the QR code to the Slug Finance Instagram in the bottom left, where I produce all my short form content. Thank you again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.